Are you homesick? We've got a remedy for that. This is the Focus Group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Hello and welcome to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. John, there you are. There you are. We're all in our dark blue today. I cannot believe it's the end of January already. January 30th, Wednesday, 1 p.m. East, live if you're listening.
Live to tape.
Or live to tape if you're on our Facebook feed or tune in to us. I don't know where the month went.
I know where every day went.
Do you?
I schedule. I had this.
Oh, that's right. There's a new schedule in town.
Every Sunday, I schedule almost every hour of every day. I don't hold it. I don't hold to it, but at least I'm trying to keep myself honest with getting my projects and work done. So I know where the days went, but here we are 30 days in.
You're breaking the schedule because a week or so ago, there was an important phone call I got, and I sent you a note, and I was wondering if you were going to adhere to your "I'll talk to you in the afternoon," or you were going to, in fact, call me.
I did call you, right?
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I remember that.
It was before late afternoon, but it was a little later than I thought. I thought for sure with the juicy tidbit I was giving you, you'd be right on the phone. Not a chance.
Well, actually, when you sent your note, I was probably on my bike. So I bought this thing for my winter indoor training called a Wahoo. Well, that's a fun name for a
Wahoo?
A Wahoo core, yeah. So the back wheel of the bike comes off, and the bike sits on this thing with a gear cluster, and it's controlled by the computer. And it feels like you're riding outside. You sweat a lot. It's great. And it hooks into this video game called Zwift. So when your note came in, I was 10 minutes into a 60-minute ride. I'm like, well, should I hop off the trainer? And
no. So then that makes sense.
There you go. That's your explanation.
So we have we've tried to, if you haven't noticed, which you probably have noticed, we've tightened the shows up a bit. Mm-hmm. So what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
They're going quicker, John.
Wow. Okay. So,
well, before we start, I just noticed you looked over there. We got to welcome the boys in the booth.
Yes, always. We have Garrett on audio and John on video. And guys, what is the intern?
Oh, Steve. This is
Steve's the intern.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, what's up, man?
Steve the intern.
You're getting a lot of fans on our Facebook page. A lot of people, and you're the boys in the booth. You're even more popular now than the folks we used to have at Sirius Radio.
Oh,
I
we're
think.
flattered.
Yeah, we're used to it.
Oh,
So
Garrett.
Always
Leave it
humble.
to Garrett. And
They have their Focus Group hats on from AdMark 360.
although I always say that Brian should have done the focus in white or another color.
Oh, you're the creative director. You'll have to tell them.
Because they're the group hats.
All right, so I interrupted. You caught my eye.
First to note is if you're AT&T, T-Mobile, or Sprint, you're a lucky customer because those cellular carriers have allowed you to block robocalls and spam calls for a little while. They've had some technology in place for that. Verizon recently announced that as of March of this calendar year, they're going to roll out an ability for you to block calls, or their service will actually announce, they'll put a number will appear, and it might say in parentheses, this may be spam or this may be a robocall. That hasn't happened yet, though, and caught my eye as an audio caught my eye. I was home the other day working, and I got 7 calls in a row over a 10-minute period, all the same exact call, but they came from different numbers, like ching, ching. So Garrett's going to play for us what the call actually was.
JP Morgan Chase Bank 摩根大通银行通知，你的账户存在异常问题，将在今日强制关闭。详情请按1，接通华裔专员。
I'll take a dozen. Keep them on.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack, in my opinion. So JP,
Is this on your regular landline?
regular landline.
I know what it is.
No.
Tell me what you think it is.
Well, I don't know. Why would I get this? Do they assume that I have nothing against against Asians or anything, but do they assume that I'm a Chinese or a Japanese household?
Several shows back, actually for a couple of shows, you presented us with items that you've received anonymously from Amazon in China.
Oh, there was that
They
lipstick.
probably think you're some sort of distribution center or something.
No. I'm not going to
Does anyone know Chinese? Can anyone translate it?
I did, and I do know Chinese, and it was asking me if I wanted to refinance. No, if I want to refinance a
You had
mortgage.
you had problems with your PC. Or someone in Nigeria left you $1 million.
But no, it starts off with J.P. Morgan Chase. Okay, so I don't think this woman was a representative of the bank, but I knew you'd enjoy it because I couldn't even make that up. I mean,
no, that's
so
good.
7 in a row over
All in
10
Chinese?
minutes. Every number that came in was different. It was the exact same message. Yeah. So Bob comes home. I play the message for him. We laughed. We just laughed. And he said, oh, my God. So he goes to work the next day. And he comes home that day and he says, you're not going to believe this, but I have a bunch of coworkers who all got the same call. So I don't understand how this works, and I'm assuming that 1 out of 100 people are going to hear her and say, oh, my God, I got to go out and buy something right away or whatever.
I wonder if they hacked into a phone list, because it seems weird that Bob's coworkers
got it, too, yeah. So what caught my eye at the last week of the first month of the new year, oh, I like that, was robocalls or...
It's like the first town in the first state.
Yeah. Last week of the first month of the new year.
The first year of the new year.
You can't say that, though, in February.
No.
It's no longer new.
No. So mine was, well, that's a good one. Mine was obviously quite a bit different. And this one, the headline, there were a bunch of headlines, and some of them were more sensational, but I did the calm one, which came out of The Advocate. Christian mother chooses queer daughter over evangelical church. So essentially, and this woman had just recently done a TED Talk about it, and we're going to post it to Focus Group Radio. Our Facebook page, Focus Group Radio, will post the TED Talk or the link to the TED Talk. But there was a pastor, Susan Cottrell, and she was for 20 years, she's been in an evangelical church, which, as many of these churches are, is very anti-LGBT. In fact, she said in her Bible study group, they often talked about homosexuality being a sin and something you can't accept. So lo and behold, Susan Cottrell's daughter called from college and said, Mom, I think I am attracted to women, and I think I'm bisexual, and I've tried to pray it away, but I can't change. It's who I am.
I watched this TED Talk. It's pretty powerful.
It's pretty powerful, and as John says, I think everybody should watch it. PFLAG should have this as a link to their site. But essentially what the mom did, which we would all hope made the morally correct decision, and chose her daughter over the church. And, of course, then family members disowned them, and they left the church. But they had ended up starting their own group called Freed Hearts, FREEDHERTS.org. And essentially, she said in her version that God was telling her to help the gay community. So, in fact, these two people, Susan Cottrell and her husband, who is also a pastor, have started this group called Freed Hearts, and her husband's name is Rob. And they've helped over 3,000 people choose the love of their children and have kept families together by reconciling their faith issues. She said, as pastors, Rob and I represent the voice of God, and it's the voice of love. She said, we're trying to counter the hateful messages often spewed by those who claim to represent Jesus Christ. She's led support groups, officiated same-sex weddings, offered free mom and dad hugs at pride parades, connected LGBTQ folks with parents who love them even if their birth parents don't. And she said that she's very aware of the life-saving change that she's made by choosing her child. And she had a quote which was interesting. Not interesting, it's sad. She reported that 57% of transgender youth without parental support attempt suicide. However, with parental support, that drops to 4%. So that's a 50% drop, of course. And so she said that's the power of a parent's love. So I thought this was, by the end of the speech, if you're watching it, the whole audience is tearing up as she is as well.
She did multiple times.
Gets a standing ovation. But I thought it was just such we've talked before on other shows about people changing minds when they just have an acquaintance with somebody who's gay or lesbian. And this I thought was a feel-good story, which is unusual for the focus group.
Oh, come on, we're all feel-good here.
Not all the time.
Mostly. You know, another aspect of her talk, which I thought was really well done, towards I want to say it was the 3/4 of the way in, she's talking about some of the loss of family to her was not just biological family. It was the community of the church that she and her husband were a part of, and their family. The kids grew up, doing picnics and all that stuff. So it was really a weird unraveling for them to pull away from that. But at one point, she did say something which I've heard other people say, and she was really emphatic about this. She said she's talking, then she stops, and she goes, "By the way, Jesus said nothing about any of this. All the stuff the church goes on about with you can't do this, you can't do that. Jesus, if you really believe this stuff and you think he's the Son of God, and he said nothing about it, well, then I guess I'm just making a leap of logic here.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the takeaways, too, that she mentioned in the print article, she said, all religions have some aspect of treat others how you would want to be treated. And she said, I think that's the more important.
That's, yeah.
Treat others how you want to be treated. So that was what caught my eye.
That's a good one. And so you're going to post that to...
That's going to go to Focus Group, our Facebook
Focus Group Radio.
Focus Group Radio. Our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
I was surprised when this one popped up. John Gardner McCoy. He was born January 30th, 1913 in Marietta, Ohio. And as everybody knows, I went to college in Marietta, Ohio. I've actually met John McCoy.
Really?
And so he had worked at a bank after he graduated college. And then after he went to Marietta, he went to Stanford. And then went into World War II. And then came back and got a job at Bank One in one branch in Columbus, Ohio. It was one little
Wait,
branch.
it was a
local bank, Columbus,
so
Ohio.
When you say branch, though, it was
one
just
branch.
It was just the bank.
Just the bank.
Okay.
Bank One, it was one branch.
Okay.
And he ended up growing it to be the Bank One Corporation, one of the largest and most successful banks in the country. I think at the time when they merged with J.P. Morgan, they were in over $200 billion in assets. It had grown that much. But he and his family, of course, very much involved in the banking industry. He was chairman or CEO from 58 to 84. And he had come up with some, what they thought at the time were radical, groundbreaking strategies, which we just think now are kind of funny. But credit cards, drive-up tellers, and automatic teller machines were some of the first
Oh, my God.
things that he implemented.
Really?
Yeah.
I take the drive-up teller for granted. We take ATMs for granted, right?
Right, and he had started, or the Bank One group had started they allowed Merrill Lynch customers to write checks, and they provided a checking service to the financial Merrill Lynch office in town, and that's how they got into the commingling, I guess, of finances. But I thought that was interesting because we take so much of that stuff for granted. In 2004, they merged with Bank One. He said he'd like his personal legacy they said his personal generosity was his greatest legacy. He died in 2010, April 4th, but given millions and millions of dollars to a number of colleges in Ohio, particularly Ohio State University and my college, Marietta. And particularly, there's certainly buildings named after him on campus. There's a picture of the campus in the snow. He was a bit of a dandy. I tried to find some other pictures. If you're watching on the video, see that green coat?
The green tie.
There's one where he's in this bright pink suit. One of his last pictures when he was at Marietta at the president's house. He had this great flamboyant kind of orange and pink suit on. But there he is in his old age. But he has.
Men should not be afraid of color.
No, but he had a. If you were a student that got the McCoy scholarship at Marietta, it was a pretty prestigious thing because it was a full ride, everything. Room and board, tuition.
Only one student?
There's a few that get picked, and you have to maintain a grade point average of, I think it's over a 3.4 or 3.2 or something in the major. But it was a pretty prestigious thing to get. So I do think I always do appreciate when people make money and do well, and they actually give a lot of it back. And he did with hospitals and all kinds of arts and philanthropy in the Central Ohio area. So happy birthday, John McCoy.
Good business birthday. And the fact that you met him might be, how many business birthdays have we done?
Oh my, I was trying to figure that out.
And how many have we met of the people we've profiled?
Well, we've done Mahoney.
Oh, that's true, Tim Mahoney.
John Nash has been several times.
Naturally.
We've done it. I wonder how many we have now.
This would be one of the first outside of some of our...
yeah.
Well, did we do a business birthday for Brian Roman?
We may have,
At
yeah.
Mark 360, we did Brian, so we know Brian.
Maybe we should start with our friends now. I try to find different things all the time, but this one we haven't done before, so.
I still don't know the alchemy.
Well, it's, John, it does.
The methodology you use to do the tapping, click, click, click on the Googles.
I was actually saying to myself, how the hell am I still doing these business birthdays after 11 years? We're still doing business birthdays.
And you're finding them.
I'm finding them. I should have kept. We could have done a whole book on business birthdays. We'd have to have somebody go scribe through so I throw them away.
Not that hard. We could have an intern go through the original broadcasts from serious days, and
Well, there we go. Hey, most of you know, or everybody knows, if you're watching, you're a fan of our show. Deep Discount is a supporter and partner of us here on the Focus Group. And we love going through their catalog and checking out the website. The best way to do it is to go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo, Sharky the shark there, and start saving. And this week is a Blu-ray Buy More, Save More sale. And, John, I think in February, what do we have? We have a coupon that starts in February?
Starting February 1st. Two of our favorite times of year on Deep Discount Land is the site-wide sale, because we get to go free range. We can choose whatever we like. And the other is when they provide us with a code to give to everybody. And it starts February 1st. So if you're watching us today, Wednesday the 30th or Thursday the 31st, hold off a little tiny bit. And then Friday, start shopping away. And the code is FG15. It's 15% off. It's a one-time use only code for everything except games and game consoles, and it cannot be used with other coupons or codes. But this is the time of year I say if there's a bunch of stuff you're going to get, save it up for the February thing, FG15.
What did you pick this week?
I picked, and here's the deal. Well, I always say that. I had one of my favorite science fiction movies, pure science fiction, like not aliens, whatever, but it takes place in the 70s. And the movie was directed by Bob Weiss. It's called The Andromeda Strain. So a military satellite that was in orbit crashes. It crashes near a town in the Midwest, and the town's wiped out, like everybody's dead. And they send in a biological unit to figure out and retrieve the satellite, bring it to a special lab, and figure out what happened and what the organism was that the thing brought down. Super well done. Michael Crichton is actually the author of the book. This was
an American satellite?
Yeah, it's an American military satellite. You can get it on deep discount for a mere $9.70 on Blu-ray, which is amazing. So I would recommend that. And I'm going to throw in one extra thing, which is not part of the Blu-ray Buy More, Save More sale, but it's at deep discount. Have you seen the movie I, Tonya?
No, but you had said that.
So this, again, if you're gonna use that code FG15 in February, you might want to pick up I, Tonya. We were mesmerized. I know that it had received a lot of good critique when it came out. Really well done.
It's about Tonya Harding and her
Jeff Gillooly and Nancy Kerrigan.
To get to her Olympic medal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's an unsympathetic portrayal of the whole.
Didn't the boyfriend beat Kerrigan with a club?
They hired someone to do it.
Oh, they did. Okay, I have to watch the movie.
And by the way, when you watch it, you'll realize how stupid they were. And now, my mom once said to me, the worst thing you could ever say is to call someone stupid.
She always says that, and I do it all the time.
I know. But when we were watching the movie, Bob's like, oh, my God, they really are stupid. I mean, they didn't cover their tracks at all. The police had no problem figuring out how this got done. And then it finally went she denied culpability because she claimed she didn't know. But eventually, they all caved, and they said she knew.
Oh, she knew?
She knew they were going to do something. They were going to try to frighten Nancy.
I mean, it was unbelievable when it happened.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Margot Robbie plays she plays Tonya Harding, but the mother is played by Allison Janney, or Janney. It's Janney. She's an Oscar winner, and the performance she turns in as Tanya's mother, oh my God. You just say, how could this... Anyway, it's not part of the sale, but it's not a bad price. It's $16, and if you want to do it for your February coupon of FG15, I recommend it. So Andromeda Strain, I, Tonya.
Well, mine, just in time for Valentine's Day, is American Gigolo, or American Gigolo. So American Gigolo, which originally came out in 1980.
Yeah.
It's a mystery suspense film, of course, but I think it's more of kind of a crime romance. And I love the description. It says, is giving pleasure a crime? Not to Beverly Hills Casanova Julian, who lives a life of luxury as he services wealthy women. So Richard Gere is in this. And talk about how young and just handsome he was. It still holds up, but it's funny to watch because it's very 80s.
Oh.
In some of the scenes and some of the places where there's actually a scene where he pulls up in front of Trump Tower, which I thought was hilarious in the black Mercedes. But it's out on Blu-ray. Came out in 2017 in October. You can get it for $8.41. And or you can get the widescreen Dolby DVD for $5.66. But since this is the Blu-ray sale, you get it for $8.41. The one thing that I love the soundtrack of this film, and I started poking around. So it opens up with "Call Me" by Blondie, which was famous, right?
Call Me, yeah.
So Blondie is the lead song for the soundtrack, which was played during the film's intro, and it also has some other sort of instrumental hints to it throughout the film, and I have a quiz for. Do you know who turned it down?
Who turned down the soundtrack?
So another group was offered to do the soundtrack and offered to do "Call Me." Another woman was offered to do it. The woman turned it down. What had since happened with Debbie Harry of Blondie. The single was released on Blondie's label in February 1980. Was #1 in the U.S., Canada, the U.K., a top 10 hit in most all the other parts of the world. #1 on USA Billboard charts for 6 weeks. Named Billboard's #1 song of 1980. The song is listed number 44 of all-time top 100 songs.
But who turned it down? I was going to say like a Kim Carnes, maybe?
Stevie Nicks.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. They offered.
Can you imagine Stevie would be like, because I
associate that song.
Call me.
Yeah, I can't imagine Stevie Nicks doing it.
But you could.
Oh, yeah. It would have been very different, but wow.
But can you imagine you turn it down and then it ends up being what it is?
My memory of American Gigolo, I'll never get this out of my head, is he had a pair of gravity boots.
Yes.
And remember how big those were for a while? You'd strap those things on,
at college
and hang
town,
out
Jack.
upside down and do crunches or something.
That was my choice. What was the new release this week?
New release this week is a movie I have been waiting to see. I'm glad it came out on Blu-ray because I missed it in the theaters. It's called Boy Erased. It stars Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe. And they have a son named Jared. And after a traumatic and humiliating outing to his conservative Baptist parents, they push him into gay conversion therapy. And his experiences within the program permanently fisher the family. So I have a suspicion based on the trailer and what I've read of how this goes down and who sides with who. But it's a So we have talked about conversion therapy before, and I think this movie received great critical acclaim when it came out. So it's Boy Erased, and that's on Blu-ray. So recapping for everybody. Here on Deep Discount. Go to focusgroupradio.com, click on Sharky the Shark, the Deep Discount logo, and you can start shopping for Blu-rays. We wanted to mention that in just a mere 2 days, February 1st starts the 15% off coupon that we're given once a year by Deep Discount. We love this, to be able to give this to you. It's FG15, one-time use only, good for everything except games and game consoles, and cannot be combined with other coupons. But save up your shopping and use FG15. I recommended the Andromeda Strain on Blu-ray, $9.70. Just to throw it in your basket. It's not part of the sale, but buy it if you're there. I, Tanya, and Tim recommended
American Gigolo.
And the release this week was Boy Erased. Garrett, what do we say?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
All right, we're going to take a super quick break, and when we return, we've got 2 shop talks for you and a new partner to welcome to the show, so stay with us.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to The Focus Group. I'm Tim with my friend John. We're doing a little old show here in our 11th year, by the way. It's been 11 years.
I know. We're into our 11th.
Are we into our 11th? We started March 08. So is it 11th, or are we into 11th? Yeah, I don't know.
March. It was March 08. Yeah, so we're almost up to 11. And that little old show was that was a
little engine that could.
Yeah, that was.
Martha Stewart, we're still here.
Yeah, I was over on XM though. We launched.
We're still going. She's not.
She's not. No.
She's doing something with Smokey Dog or Snoopy Dog or whatever. She's doing foods. So, John, we had this shop talk that came in. Actually, this came from a listener. Bill Elias sent this to us and asked if we had known about it, and I had not.
Neither did I.
I thought it was a pretty good idea. So the headline is, this chocolate brand is the first to feature a new LGBT seal from the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. So it's the NGLCC. And as you know, many companies become certified as NGLCC LGBT brands, and they're certified LGBT business enterprises. And I think this is a good thing. So essentially, this chocolate brand, 5 North, is the very first brand to include the NGLCC, I guess, seal of approval, for lack of a better word, that it's an NGLCC certified owned company. So I thought it was a good thing. I was surprised. I guess, I don't know why nobody thought of it before.
I think he's one of the. I think this brand, 5 North, and by the way, 5 North was named. The name of the company is derived from West Africa, which grows more than 2/3. I did not know this. 2/3 of the world's cocoa, or cacao, is located 5 degrees north of the equator, and it's the chocolate itself is that's a lot of things are going into it, so it's sourced correctly.
Cacao.
Well, how do you pronounce that?
It's a cocoa.
Well, it's CACAO.
Cacao.
Cow.
Boys.
I need to remind Tim.
Is it cacao? It may be.
I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think technically it's like jaguar or like zebra. Zebra,
jaguar, cacao. I'm gonna get T-shirts made. Jaguars.
Have we really descended to tomato? I mean,
potatoes.
Potatoes. But it's organic. It's the
We're
fair.
Just so serious about it.
I know it's fair trade. The ingredients are they're sourced through fair trade, and it's USDA organic supply stuff. And so this final thing to put on the package, the certified LGBT business enterprise, is just one more way to let the consumer know the values of the company.
Right.
And I'm a huge chocolate fan, so when I read about this, I'm like, I think I'm going to be trying out this brand to see what's up.
Well, I thought of that, and then he had said the importance, and I thought this was a good quote we had both pulled. It says, as more Americans, especially millennials, are demanding more transparency and supporting companies and brands that align with their values, social entrepreneurs like Conrad are hoping to meet their customers' needs while supporting causes that are meaningful to them. And that reminds me of a lot of brands we've talked about. Their either outreach to the LGBTQ community. It's it's all right to do things internally, of course, but it's even smarter business to let people know that you're inclusive with the community.
So the owner's name is Ben Conrad of 5 North Chocolate, and he finishes this piece. He had one last quote about, and he believes is very important. And you just referenced that quote about American consumers and millennials in particular. But he finished by saying, for 2019, we've set ambitious goals to be gracing the shelves of larger grocery chains, C-stores, and corporate campuses. What is a C-store?
Convenience stores?
If this were Jeopardy, I'd say your first guess is probably right, because I was thinking that might have been a code word for the big box chains or something like a Sam's or a Costco.
Yeah, it could be.
I think convenience store makes complete sense.
Maybe convenience store. Yeah, if you walked into a...
Tim, you're good.
Well, a Wawa, which is what we have in PA.
I would have gone to Double Jeopardy. I would have gone to Double Jeopardy with that one. With your guess, sure. I thought it was a good guess.
So when we, well, good. So, hey, when we opened up the show, I asked if you were homesick. And so John and I are delighted, or John and me. Is it John and me or John and I? We always get in trouble.
You could say me and John.
Me and John are delighted to welcome a new sponsor just in time for Valentine's Day, and it's Homesick Candles. So if you go to homesickcandles.com, you'll be able to see their full line of offerings. And everyone who knows me knows that I'm a candle. I don't want to say I'm a candle queen, but I'm a scent. I'm a scent guy.
You really appreciate how it can change people's moods. I never appreciated it until you gave us.
Listen, they can set a mood. Everyone looks great in candlelight, which I think is great. You always have candles burning at a party. And the great thing about you may have seen Homesick on. I know they're on Instagram and they're on a lot of social media. So we were delighted that they joined with us here on the focus group. But they have a special going on right now for Valentine's Day, which they have 2 new candles, which are First Kiss and Love. And you'll see pictures of them here if you're watching. And there's a special offer for focus group listeners. John, do you want to?
Well, first, let's talk about what we ordered. You ordered a candle.
Okay, yeah. I did order.
So this is all in preparation for Valentine's Day, by the way.
Right.
And I wrote down, so, the folks at Homesick would like you to consider one of these candles as a gift for your loved one. Personally, I wrote down, skip the heart-shaped candy box and get a candle.
Well, what's great about
Aren't I clever?
Well, because they're specially crafted and they tap into your senses. And I was, and it's very nostalgic. And I thought to myself, how many times have you gone somewhere and you might have smelled a candle, you smell something and you got, oh, that reminds me of.
Which leads us to what'd you pick?
So I picked, they have a line for states. So I picked Connecticut, which kind of has a nutmeg.
Seriously?
Right. So I picked Connecticut because that's where I was born and raised. And then subsequently, because I'm going to use the offer that's here, I'm going to probably get all the states I've lived in. So I'm going to get Oregon, Illinois, Minnesota, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania.
So when I was at the site, I was scrolling through, and there's one category for candles called memories. And I was intrigued by this. And then I instantly zoned in on the one that I had to have, and it's called Grandma's Kitchen. And the top note is butter and apple, and then there's they call it a mid note of cinnamon, clove, and cookie. It's just cookies in there. And then the base is sugar, vanilla, and tonka bean. So I have a very vivid memory of my grandmother's kitchen. There's no doubt about it. She loved to bake cookies when we came and visited, and her house had a smell, very pleasant, lived-in, cooked smell. So this was the moment where I was like, wow, okay, Tim is 100% right. You can go back in time.
Yeah.
Because when I smelt this candle, I was like, this is Grandma's kitchen.
And they also have some limited edition college collections. So if you have someone that you're want to give a gift to and you're looking for the college collection, there's a bunch of different cities. If you go onto the website at homesick.com, you'll see all the different cities that list the limited edition college collection. But there's a deal going on right now for you focus group listeners. And it expires on February 15th. So
day after Valentine's Day.
Day after Valentine's Day, so you have to act now. But it's if you order any of the 3-wicked size candles or a classic candle, with every purchase, you're allowed to pick out a mini candle.
I think it also includes the new First Kiss and Love.
Right, the First Kiss and Love, which are available specific for Valentine's Day, but as well as any of the candles of the 3-wicked or the classic version. You get to pick out a mini candle worth about $15 or worth $15.95
value.
And I thought that was great because say you got 3 candles, you get 3. That's over what's close to $50 of free.
Oh, don't ask me to do math. I failed on the SATs.
What's 15 times 3? It's 45, and add another $3.
48.
So 48. So close.
Wow, I got it right. So our friends at Homesick want you to go to homesick.com, homesick.com, and when you order, you can use the code FOCUS, FOCUS, to get this offer, which is if you buy for every classic or 3-wick sized candle, you get to choose one of the minis, and that also includes their new releases for Valentine's Day. It's a good one, which is First Kiss or Love. I'd also like to mention when I Googled them, they do have a retail outlet here in Manhattan.
They do
on West 22nd Street, and I thought, wow, I could go down and actually smell the candles.
Maybe we'll have to do a road trip.
But I'm like, I think if you go and shop, you're going to love the categories, have fun, and shop away.
Well, the website's great, and there's lots of great choices, as we said. You can, and me, somebody who likes candles, I can get lost.
Yeah. So code is FOCUS at homesick.com. Sorry, and we want to thank them for joining us.
So John and I never planned this.
No, we didn't plan this.
Speaking of homesick. The next shop talk was about the end of the sick day.
This is a quick one.
This is a little different. The death of the sick day. Yeah, it was something different than I thought, John. What was your takeaway on this?
All right, so the New York Times did a quick article in their, I think it's Smarter Working column, and it's basically how the sick day has morphed into what they now call the personal emergency day. So remember when I was younger, I was petrified. If I wanted to call in sick, I better have sounded like death warmed over.
And you need a list of excuses.
I don't know if anybody. Do you guys remember doing this? Like you'd call your boss, like, I'm sick today. I'm not going to be, and I was embarrassed to do it. I think there's a culture of shame.
I have an upset stomach, which meant you're shitting your brains out.
Or you had a party the night before, exactly. But now, because of technology, people really don't get sick. I mean, they get sick, but they're able to hammer out an email or they hop on a conference call. And so the article really talked about the morphing of the sick day into personal use days, which now apparently companies don't mind. You call in, you're like, oh, are you flex working? You flex time.
Work at home.
You work at home on your computer.
And they say smartphones obviously has helped that. We've talked about this a lot. I think when you're off, you're off. Yeah. Although nobody's ever really off anymore in this 24/7, very competitive, understaffed, overworked environment that we're in. But there are times when people really are sick and in bed, whether it's a flu or you're just not feeling well. And I don't think you should be expected to be so available.
Hammering out email, yeah. Yeah, I know. Look, I'm with you too. And I'm of the opinion that if you're sick, get better. In fact, there are times, like
don't come in.
I think the last time I had the flu, we were on the other platform. It was like 6 years ago. I couldn't think of a thing. When you have a fever and you're out of it, I can't type email. It's like when you've gotten sick sometimes, or when you had your back issue. I was amazed you were able to show up and even be yourself, because it just drives you crazy, right?
And I remember people in my earlier days in corporate America, if they would come in and they were obviously sick,
you'd send them home
because they felt, again, they needed to show up, they needed to be there. I'd say, go home. Just go home. Don't get everyone else in the building sick, or everyone else in your in the workspace. But if you're not feeling well, go home. You're not winning any prize by being here being sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I didn't. So I was wondering about what your takeaway was, because this guy seemed to initially think that it almost made it sound like he lives such a healthy life he doesn't need a sick day. Is kind of how it started for me. And then I thought, well, let me keep reading. He said he took turmeric and some other thing. What is reversatol or whatever?
I don't know. It sounds like something. It sounds like something the witch doctor or the snake oil salesman would have you take. I mean, let's be real. When you get sick, you need sleep, you need rest, you need fluids and chicken soup.
TV, Jerry Springer.
I'm a big fan of vitamin C, even though I know that I eat it like it's candy, and I know my body's not doing a thing with it. Yeah, I love vitamin C, chewable vitamin C.
Okay.
Does it work? I don't know. If I cough or sneeze, I take vitamin C. Does it help? I don't know. We'll see. I'm here today, right?
You hope it's better than not doing anything.
Hey, I think this is time, right? Time. Wait, Tim. Time. Thank you for joining us today on the Focus Group, the last week of the first month of the new year. It's the last time I could say it, right? Until next January of 2020.
So then it'll be the first week of the second month of the new year.
Oh, no, but it's not new in February. The year is totally not new by then. It's old. It's an old haggy year by February 1st.
Okay.
So, thanks for joining us today. Thank you to Deep Discount. It's the buy more, save more sale for Blu-rays. And if you wait till February 1st, which is only a day or two, you could use FG15 as the code. Or sorry, is it Focus?
FG15.
FG15 is the code to get 15% off. One-time use only coupon. Can't be combined with other things and can't be used for video games or game consoles. I should be one of those guys that talk really fast.
I was going to say you have that down.
Boy Erased is the movie this week, by the way. I highly recommend it. Big thanks to Homesick.com. Homesick.com, and that's where you want to go and use the code FOCUS when you make your order. If you buy one of the classic or 3-wick size candles, you can get to choose one of the minis, which is a $15.95 value, and we like them. And I'm a new convert to scent in general. I'm a candle boy.
Everyone looks good in candles, John. It's
candle
nostalgic, it's personal, it's thoughtful.
All right, and I think Tim threw a new graphic in today.
Did I throw one in today?
Let's see. Let's John visit. It's a reminder, and we call it a mnemonic graphic. It was "Don't text and drive, arrive alive." And I saw you had a little cell phone and a. Was that for the, or maybe that was a different
Maybe that was another show.
Anyway, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we will see you next week.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.